Many of us are all too familiar with the emotion of depression, but unfortunately, too often people are unwilling to discuss it for fear of further rejection or self-deprecation. There is need to push a wholesome discussion on the reality of the state of mental health in Kenya beyond depression. The frequent attempt to conceal mental pain increases the burden. How should you handle depression? Dannish Odongo, in his book Unbreakable, shares his experience in a story of resilience and finding beauty in depression. Dannish Odongo is a writer, journalist, and researcher based in Nairobi who has recovered from depression. This story isn't his alone. It is the story of Africa's biggest tribe, the poor, and how we can end the vicious cycle of deprivation. This is his manifesto for a better world.
Good morning to you. Welcome to Books and Blogs. My name is Catherine Mwangi. Thank you so much for joining us today. We discuss a topic that we haven't actually tackled on this program, and thankfully it's been written in a book by one of our own local authors, so thank God for that. His name is Dannish Odongo, and his is a story of resilience and finding beauty in depression. Not many people have the vulnerability or even the courage to share their stories of depression or sadness and everything else that surrounds that. And so today we get the privilege to hear that story in real time. Dannish, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for hosting me.
You're most welcome. And also joining us on the panel is a gentleman who's no stranger to Books and Blogs. He's also shared his story a couple of years back. That's the man himself, Mr. Victor. I call him Mr. Victor, but his name is Steve Mushiri. I call him Victor because his story was again about victory, finding victory in difficult situations. And so, Steve, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
We'll get to know how his relationship with Dannish, how come he's here on this set. And then we also are joined by a pretty lady. Her name is Macrine. I said to her before the show, I have never heard that name before. So, hey, again, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
You have a beautiful name.
Thank you.
And a beautiful story as well, which
Yes.
we'll get to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to start with, the book is Unbreakable. And it is so many layers, from family to extended family, to his personal life, to your Christian life, to your school life. Man, so we kept going this way. So I'm like, wow, a lot has happened to you in such a young age.
Actually, that I'm a writer, so what happened was I wanted to take people on an emotional journey. So then you see me trying to do a bit of humor, but then I go deep, and then I go back. So I was using a bit of flashback, and I was using humor.
Yes.
So to tell the story, most of us actually do have stories, just that we've not been given a chance or a time to reflect and think about our stories. So
Yes.
for me, when I fell ill last year and I left the hospital, I took about 5 months not doing anything but thinking about my life. So I had immense clarity. I mean, if I had written this book last year, it would not be like that. But then I had all the time in my hand.
Yes.
I'd gone through therapy, so I really contextualized my life and what I went through also to make sense of all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and how do you know Steve?
So Steve, actually, when I was telling the producer, I said that he was half of that book. He was there when everything was unfolding. So he can narrate that book without necessarily reading it. So that's why I've known him for almost 10 years.
Yes.
We met at KG Buruburu in the year 2007. That's when I got born again, and we were appointed in a leadership of a Bible study class. I was the chair, Steve was my treasurer.
Yeah.
And then after that we became friends. So he actually was the one who encouraged me to write this book. So the first manuscript for this book came out in 2012.
Okay.
It was called The Making of a Purpose. Yes.
Wow.
So we felt like the story I now choose it 50 seconds. So we said, let's just hold on a bit, and then ordered a plan and said, let's wait. Perhaps in 2019, in 2018, rock your boat, and the story will be complete.
Yeah, and see what God did those 7 years.
Yes.
It's like, umengoja mchuzi, I will show you what mchuzi is.
I say it was the making of a purpose, because now this is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the purpose.
It
Man, and in the book, I know I'm just fast forwarding a lot, but in the book, that prayer you made for him when he was working at the Stima Circle.
When I was about to get a job at Stima.
Yeah, that prayer, I felt just the genuineness of that prayer. And then after that, you gave him a 50 bob.
Yeah, I remember he was wanted to go, he had gotten an opportunity at Masako, and I mean, things were not really good.
Yeah.
I was a student. It's not like I was working. So
No.
This is my brother. He's gotten an opportunity.
Yeah.
But we serve a big God. So I just held him in the prayer room and we prayed. And we prayed, and it really, at that time it may not seem like it's much.
Yeah.
But I always say, God says, even faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. And what happened when we went to Stimasako? I mean, I saw it and I was like, God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because he rose to from being a salesperson, to, earning a commission, to having, being like a manager.
Yes.
In managing a region.
Yes.
I mean, that was
a whole department. Yeah.
So
I mean, no, that prayer, and that I think it alludes to your writing style.
Yes.
Because you write your heart. I don't know if that makes sense to people who don't write or read. Like the words come to life. You feel them. So it's not a plastic thing. Makreen, did you get that feeling?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially because we relate more.
Okay.
We were actually together. We were at the same hospital, but at different times. So we met at this forum, and he was just sharing about his experiences, and I was like, oh, so I was also there. But then when I read that book, I was like, it felt like I was writing it myself.
Yes,
this is
like
my
it's your story, yes.
Like he's telling my story. So this is a book where, someone who's actually gone through what I'm going through is writing it. It's really, the feeling is really, you can't really explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the viewer has to forgive us because we are just like jumping into, because you get the book yourself, okay? You get the book to get the flow of this story. Us will just touch on a couple of things that we feel may be relevant to you now, but if you just want to get the gist of everything from A to Z, just find Unbreakable for yourself. So, Dannish, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes,
Dannish or Danish?
No.
Because Danish is the pastry. It's the pastry. Odongo is fine.
Odongo is actually
Okay.
better.
Odongo is better. Should I have said that from before?
Yeah, Odongo is better.
Okay, so Odongo.
That sounds authentic.
It does? So, the depression, I want us to go just right there. First, and then, oh my gosh, you talk about not memory loss, family loss.
Yes.
How you grew up in poverty and all of that. I don't want us to touch that now unless it comes up. But you getting into depression, you have been at the peak of your career. You're working for one of the most established media houses in the city. You are a known name because you've been published in newspapers and you've appeared on television shows.
Yes.
And you're depressed. There's mental illness going on.
Yes. Yes, and that's the irony of mental health, that we imagine that it's for people who are picking dirt in towns and are lying on the floor or are crazy. We imagine that to be something for other people, but not for you. But then it's just like another illness, malaria, or people out here are battling cancer, others are taking antiretroviral therapy. Some of us are taking mental health medication. It's all an illness. And that's the irony of it. But for me, I don't now look at it like that. So when I fell ill, I discovered that the mental health challenges I had were actually a gift, most of them. It's just that I did not know. For a very long time, I felt different. As you read in the book, I felt like I was standing out like a sore thumb, So when I was diagnosed with ADHD, that's when it hit me that even my writing is coming from that place, because what ADHD does is that I feel people's pain and joy. I'm on a spectrum of emotions. I don't have that middle ground. Either I'm in or I'm out, and you get that in the book. And that's why I'm going to write, I'm going to actually do public speaking. My passion for leadership and community actually does come from there. But then also because I feel people's pain, when I covered the 2017 elections and I walked into homes of people who had gone through horrendous stories, I wasn't just writing as a journalist, I was seeing the impact of their death, or the impact of their pain on their families, on their generations and stuff like that. So if you don't have, and most media houses, don't have that proper setup to deal with
post-trauma, yes.
Yeah. So you come back and you write a story, then you're okay, you've written a story, the world loves it, it's going viral, but then you are remaining now what you saw. Now you're processing that.
And Makreen, you have a similar story.
Yeah, actually, when it came to this year of March, I was taken to see a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with severe depressive disorder. So mine was severe that I was suicidal. I attempted like 3 suicidal attacks. But then luckily, I'm still alive.
Yes.
But then when you tell people about depression, the first thing they ask you, no, it's not you, you're happy, you have everything, you have a good job, you can't be depressed. And
Right.
people ask, that's not you, And
Yeah.
some actually tell you, no, I cannot be depressed, So it's really a situation where people don't understand. And if your friends don't even understand what you're going through, then how do you start telling someone that I don't see meaning in life, when all along you've been taught that life has meaning? So what you do is like you wake up every morning and you fight to find the meaning of life, which to me became so meaningless until now. I went for medication, and it's a sad story, which I don't think people really understand in the country, really. And I remember when I told my sisters that, I'm going through this, they're like, maybe you're bewitched by some aunt you came to visit, or it's a really sad story.
How do you know you're depressed? How do you wake up and know?
For me, it started when I started withdrawing from just the things that are like, normally I'm this happy person, I like meeting people, I'm an outdoor person. But then this time, I just wanted to be in the house for like weeks. Not going out, simple things like taking a shower. I didn't want to shower, I didn't want to get up. All I did was drink alcohol.
Okay.
Like with a bottle. For like 1 week, I wasn't eating. I didn't want to pick up calls, I didn't want to see people. Like depression, it becomes your friend, and you're in this cave and it's dark. There's no light, you're alone, and all you want is to drink and drink and drink.
Did anything trigger it?
Yes, a lot of things triggered it. Most of it is just, the family pressures, being compared to, your sisters are doing well, and maybe you're not that level yet. And then the expectations that, the society expects from you. And then, just people, some people will talk, like for me with my background, when I lost my dad, so sometimes you're in a setting and people just talk about their parents and you realize, oh, I don't have that.
Yeah.
So, it builds up, and you don't even realize that this thing is building up until later on when it blows. And when it blows, it's like the dead end for people. Yeah.
Before we go on, Steve, I want to add actually why I wrote this book. So when I went to the hospital, I discovered that many people who have mental health issues, apart from the disease, which then alters how we see life, many of us actually struggle with baggages, trauma and a lot of stuff we pick along the way, and that really impairs how we see the world. So unbreakable basically means that despite all you've gone through, it's not that bad. Life is not that bad. Because then I discovered that for me, it's in finding light in my depression that I found healing, I found wellness. It's finding light, finding that even the most horrendous stories like the death of my brother and how I grew up, all of it was actually playing a role in making me who I am today. So I started something there called a tribe, where you meet in the hospital actually at Lavington Children's Medical Center. That's Bustan.
Yeah.
And we'd meet and I asked them, so guys, tell me, I met a gentleman who was 21 years old, was doing cognitive science in Canada, brilliant gentleman. I asked him, so what do you think makes you unique? We started talking about life. And I'd never seen perspectives. In fact, if you notice in the book, at the end of every book is a reflection. Some of those reflections were discussions I had in my place. I met people who had fantastic ideas, how we can sort this country out, how we can change the world. I mean, philosophy. I asked that kid, why is the world broken? And he told me things I'd never told before. So for me, my book was to change the narrative of how we talk about mental health from a place of pain and frustration and stigma to a place of strength and beauty and you with your own disorder, finding what is unique about it. Because the one thing that underlines every single one of us is that we are unique and made in the image of the likeness of God. But what makes people who have mental health disorders unique is that they don't see the world in a linear way, the way the typical brain see them. They are people who are empathetic. If you see any of your friends who has a mental health disorder, trust me, they have intuition, levels of intuition that they're never wrong. They're creative, they're innovators, they're smart in school, most of them. Or whatever it is that they hold on to and they do always succeeds. But also the reverse of it is that because they are always standing out and they're always different, people tell them, why are you always different? Like for me when I was growing up, I was always fast. Why are you so fast? Why are you always outspoken? Why are you always like that? So those things, we put them in our head and we begin to question the light that was placed within my heart. So this book was meant to tell the tribe, people who have mental health disorders, that's how they're called, welcome to the tribe, that they are unbreakable, they are unique, and their disorders are not a curse. Their disorders are a gift, just find out how it affects you and the negative aspect of it, manage the negative aspect of it, and we will change this one.
Yeah.
That's what this book is.
That's the essence of this book. Steve, when you were going through your own experience of losing your entire family in a very short span of time, did you, I know you had depression.
Okay, for me what happened is I was headed there. I was headed towards,
Right, okay.
So I think God saved the situation because I remember before I went for counseling, 14 sessions of read therapy.
Wow.
And before I went, actually something triggered. I lost my grandpa. Now, after losing all my parents, my both parents and siblings, I lost my grandfather, the paternal grandfather. And now that hit me so hard. And I started now thinking, why are these things happening? Could it be I'm not good enough? Could it be life is unfair to me? I started now having that negative talk.
Yes.
And I was starting to even feel like, will I ever overcome these? Having a lot of baggage inside until it becomes now pain, emotional pain.
Yeah.
And luckily, our lecturer was, I did psychology, so I was doing a course in grief counseling. So luckily the lecturer asked us whether it's somebody who's lost someone there who is very close to them. And of course I shared about my grandfather, and then they also wanted to know like about my parents, and that's how I got help. And I remember I had a very, very hard time during therapy because it's like unblocking those old wounds. Yes. It was so hard because I used to cry. It was like a tap had been open, and every time I would get out there, I would cry until I feel so weak. And I was like, I didn't know this was that deep. But after now going through those sessions and coming out, I never used to share my story. It's actually, Dannish is the one who, very many people never used to know whether I had such a story. I just shared with very, very close people. Yes. So I realized there is healing in accepting what has happened to you and sharing it out as a way of, showing people its strength. You know, going through a hard time of, even, having a mental health problem. Because for me, I felt like my mind I was losing my mind because of that. And it's okay. It's okay because now, as Dannish said, there is this, we need to evaluate how we talk about, mental health issues. Yeah. Because it's a problem like any other problem. It's a disease like any other disease where when somebody has homa or you have whatever it is that you've been diagnosed with. Because it's happening in the human body, in the part that is called the brain. So what we need to do is let us not judge, because many times we judge people. We think these people who have mental health issues have a problem, or they are looking for sympathy, which is not the truth. I mean, somebody is looking for a way to become better, and when you become better, so that you can become of benefit to the society. Yeah. For example, I am very proud of what my brother is doing. Yeah. I mean, he didn't let his story stay with him. He's gone out there, written a book, without feeling like he's sharing a lot of personal stuff. Yeah. And at the end of the day, so many people have reached out to me, to him, and they wanted to share. And it's the same thing that happened to me when I shared. So many people would inbox, they would want to talk to me, they would ask me to go and give a talk about what I went through and how I'm overcoming. Yeah. I mean, a book was born out of that, a book that has encouraged so many people. So for me, my perspective is let us have a different perspective of mental health. And at the same time, let us support those who are going through difficult moments. Because, I mean, we all have our points of weakness. And all we need to do is not just focus on that, see on how we can support one another and also, be there for one another. And I think it's something that can be managed. Yeah.
Odongo, something that was like a thread in the book was triggers.
Yes.
I liked how you would go back in time and identify something as a trigger.
Yes.
What are they?
Yes, so okay, just to add to what Steve was saying, I saw this gentleman at KEG before therapy. I've seen him after therapy. After therapy, stuff just went boom. The guy grew from a very shy, timid, downtrodden guy to a victor, actually a literal victor. I'm telling you, by then he's the one who gave me the courage to actually even start facing my own demons, because I noticed that hey, if you can face your past demons, and so what I say, why people need to go for therapy or find out how they are feeling emotionally is not so that they can be diagnosed with depression or bipolar or whatever, because that is an extreme case. But I say that if you've never dealt with your emotional baggage, it's like you're walking with a dead horse on the back. One, it is heavy. Two, it is smelling. Third, the maggot from that horse will start eating you alive and you'll die, you know. But to let go of that dead horse is to give yourself the freedom to run the rest of life lighter, better, and much more clear. So for me, the triggers I was looking at mental health not as something that happens to you, but emotional health as something that the teacher tells you something in primary school. It leaves you scarred, or you're not good enough, and you believe that teacher. Or you go to that bully in school and you find that girlfriend or that boyfriend who tells you, I don't like your nose, I don't like your eyes. And you take all these things in your subconscious mind and you hide them there. And you come to work and your boss tells you, why are you always coming to work late? Why are you always like that? And so we undermine the word of power and how our environments affect our emotional wellness. So the book really was telling people that you need to reflect and see why you behave the way you do. Because sometimes many of us actually build our whole worldview based on what we are told. Those things were not objective. Your mom may have told you something, but your mom has her own background, is carrying her own baggage, is carrying her own past. When somebody tells you you're beautiful or you're not beautiful, it's subjective because that's not real, because his view of being beautiful or not is coming from a whole experience.
Yes.
So the moment you begin to review those things and what the teacher told you, that's what happened to me. So for me, I saw myself in light I'd never seen myself before. When I did therapy and I finished therapy, that's when I saw. So I'm okay with not being an early morning person because that's how my brain works, but I can work at night. I'm okay being outspoken because that's who I am. I'm courageous. I'm okay being, you know, the kind of person who always feeling people's pain. Okay. I'm okay being the kind of person who can cry. I'm okay with that. I'm okay being the person who doesn't believe in the linear way of thinking that we have to do it this way.
So it's about acceptance.
It's about acceptance. And by accepting, you mute the loud voices around you and you introspect and find out who you really are. When you know who you really are, then your identity is rooted in authenticity, so that whatever outside world doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect you.
So latching on to that, Macrine, when you had these voices around you that would expect you to be a certain person at a certain level, having done certain things, and you've now gone for therapy, you're taking medication, how are you able, because those voices are still there, I'm assuming, so how are you able to deal with that?
You have to find a way of coping. And for me, it's waking up every day in the morning and writing. And writing, I write, you know, the reason why I have to live today. So I wake up and tell myself, Macrine, today you have to live because you saw that pair of shoes and you're going to buy it.
Okay.
It's the simple things that make me happy.
As little as it can be,
yes,
it doesn't matter.
It makes me happy.
Yeah.
And just talking about it, you know, when Dannish shared the story first, I was like, wow, you know, men don't share about their stories.
True.
You know, they've been brought up to, you know, that they're stronger gender, and it's only women who share. We are the vulnerable ones. So when you see Dannish and Steve sharing their stories, it's really, you know, it's something that men should do. And I normally tell, like, my friends who are men, just cry.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're burdened, cry. No one will judge you, just cry. If they're going to judge you, cry. It really helps.
Yeah.
So for me, I cry a lot when I feel like it's, if I'm at work, if I'm in a public place, I'll just cry.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I also go for therapy, but then therapy is different from people to people. Actually, a lot of people think quit therapy like that sessions.
Oh,
so
why?
For me, I went for therapy for 2 sessions and then I quit.
Why?
Because I didn't find it really helping me, and also just my personal reasons. I just didn't feel like it's really helping me. Maybe I felt like for me more personal therapy, like, you know, going to the park, walking and traveling was more beneficial to me than just talking to someone. Though other people find talking to, you know, the therapist really helps.
Yeah.
But for me, I have my own ways of, you know, therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd put that, Catherine. The one reason I discovered why many of us actually stuck in mental health situations is because unlike other illnesses, when a doctor tells you you have malaria, take this medication 3 times a day, you take it because you believe in the doctor. If you're for chemo, you go for chemo, you do all that sort of stuff. But for mental health, I don't know why, but we seem in our mind not to imagine that a psychiatrist is a doctor, just like an orthopedic surgeon. We imagine that a therapist or a psychologist is not somebody who can help you heal. So my encouragement, I encourage people, wherever I meet them, is that when you walk into a doctor's office, put your mind aside, put your expectations aside, and assume that you don't know, because you've not gone to school for 6 years to study the brain like that psychiatrist has gone to. You don't have hours of therapy like Steve did in school, undergraduate degree and done that. You don't have the experience that they have. So it's to listen. And then if that therapist doesn't work for you, that doctor doesn't work for you, the same way a doctor may misdiagnose you in your real body, the same way they can misdiagnose you in mental health. Look for another one.
Yes.
But I encourage people, I heal because I was also quite, I do research and I did a lot. My mind has started telling me, don't do that. But I said, I will listen to Dr. Frank Njenga and I will latch on to his words.
Yes.
My life depends on it. The first time I was reading that book, I was misdiagnosed. I was taken to Mombasa Mental Hospital. I was in high school. We were taken to the patient section. They used my predictive machine. They diagnosed me with mild seizures, which showed that I had some sort of epilepsy. They put me on epileptic medicine for 10 years. That was not right. 2014, I went to see the psychiatrist. Sleep issues, did not find out. So I can't castigate all psychiatrists because they never helped me.
True.
But I found one who helped me. And that's why I encourage everybody.
Yeah.
That the same way you can go for a body checkup, go up, open up your mind. Don't be afraid. They will not find madness or snakes or funny things. It's just the same way you go for a full body checkup to know whether you're okay. That's what I encourage them.
Got it. Okay, so we continue with this story right after the break.